Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Other Stories by Lewis Carroll, illustrated by John Tennell and Henry Holliday. I'll try to show off the additional pictures if I can find them on Google Images, since I can't really show you the book very well as is. But we'll read the first chapter as well as the table of contents, and we'll read more of this if you're interested. We'll read the back first. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Magical worlds of the imagination are but a short distance away, just down the rabbit hole and on the other side of the mirror. This volume collects Lewis Carroll's 2 classic fantasy novels, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, both illustrated in vivid full-colored by John Tennell. Although first published in the 19th century, these books are timeless tales of young Alice's encounters with the Mad Hatter, the March Hare, the White Rabbit, the Cheshire Cat, and other memorable residents of their fanciful worlds. In addition, this collection includes Carroll's masterpiece of nonsense verse, The Hunting of the Snark, featuring in the illustrations of Henry Holliday, specially colored for this edition. Table of contents, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, page 1. Through the Looking Glass, page 115. The Hunting of the Snark, 247. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Table of contents for this one. Chapter 1, Down the Rabbit Hole, page 9. Chapter 2, The Pool of Tears, page 15. Chapter 3, A Caucus Race and a Long Tail, page 23. Chapter 4, The Rabbit Sends in a Little Bill, page 32. Chapter 5, Advice from the Caterpillar, page 43. Chapter 6, Pig and Pepper, page 52. Chapter 7, A Mad Tea Party, page 62. Chapter 8, The Queen's Croquet Ground, 71. Chapter 9, The Mock Turtle's Story, page 80. Chapter 10, The Lobster Quadrille, page 89. Chapter 11, Who Stole the Tarts, page 97. Chapter 12, Alice's Evidence, page 104. From Preface to 1898 edition. Enquiries have been so often addressed to me as to whether any answer to the Hatter's riddle, see page 63, can be imagined. Okay, I don't remember this. Let's flip to that real quick. Eventually we'll get there. Okay, where is this riddle? The Hatter opened his eyes very wide on hearing this, but all he said was, "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" Because they're both a personal journal. The writing desk, especially back at that time, usually you'd be writing in something. I mean, obviously, I know that sounds like I'm being a dick, and to be fair, I am, but still, that's special. Like, nowadays, granted, I don't have a computer desk, but I'm just saying, a lot of times if I try to draw, granted, my anime drawings are terrible, but still, or if I'm trying to actually write something, or granted, there's sometimes I'll lay in bed and read stuff, but if I'm actually trying to study something, I'll sit at a table. But if you're actually at especially back in mid-1800s, usually that was considered more a business or a formal thing. And anytime you see it in a movie rendition or even a cartoon, even back then, the colloquial form of what was expected, like it was already established as a genre even before television was a thing. And it's kind of like the whole idea of a story, that if you tell a story that there's bound to be some dude with a bowl of soup or something. Like there are certain things that appear over and over. It's kind of like if you look at, granted, yes, anything translated from any era into, 15th century English is going to sound similar. But if you look at a lot of things, whether it's historical Hebrew writings or old Greek writings, or especially ancient Egyptian writings, like the stuff that's translated from those old tablets, like it's Osiris and all that, a lot of the phrasing's similar, and yes, it's being translated into a very similar language at a very similar time, but it's kind of like if you were to take a bunch of things out of Japanese and translate them into modern English. Of course, they're going to sound a little similar because they're all being translated into English. But a Japanese soap opera is going to sound different than a Japanese anime. A Japanese TV show is going to sound different than a Japanese movie made for a wide theatrical audience. That's because, let's be clear, usually any sort of there are certain things made in certain countries that the authors of which don't intend they don't really expect their work to be seen. Like there's many people in America that, they will write stories without any intention of their stories being read by anyone outside of America. Now granted, if someone does, they think that's awesome, but it's just like there are certain phrasings that you expect. For example, take Hush Puppies. Granted, England and America both speak English, but in England, Hush Puppy means something to do with shoes. Whereas here in America, it's essentially deep-fried cornbread or cornmeal, however you wish to phrase that. But yes, we fry a lot of things here. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm getting distracted. I'm just saying it's already like there's certain things that, the way you phrase things, even back then, it was, even in a time. But I'm just saying, even in the old stories from back then, even little folk tales, especially the old cartoons, even the ones that are kind of odd, but the writing desk, anytime you see somebody at it, they're either writing a letter or a journal. And that's another thing. Most times nowadays, if someone writes a letter, they don't really write letters. We do stuff a lot electronic mediums now. But even then, letter writing was, at least we're told, it's shown to be a lot more formal, like writing in a diary sort of thing. So whether you're writing a letter to somebody or you're writing in your own book, it's seen as something to be taken seriously. And part of that probably would have been, you had less availability of ink and paper back then. I mean, granted, you had more access to it than you did in the past in certain parts of the world, but even in places that were considered the wealthy, industrialized parts of the world that were advanced, I mean, it's not like you could just go to a Walmart and buy thousands of sheets of notebook paper for a couple bucks, an entire bag of fully functioning ballpoint pens for $2. You weren't doing it just casually. You were thinking about every word you said. You were writing with a purpose. You had your thoughts in mind. Whether you were writing a letter to somebody or you were writing in a journal, you were recording your candid, just honest thoughts. Granted, you were probably wording it well, depending on where you were sending it to. But yeah, either way, a letter and a diary were both a journal. One was meant for private and one was meant for sharing. Hell! Essentially, it's kind of like YouTube. I mean, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, it's like a public bulletin board or a public journal. Though a lot of it's people, I think there's a joke that's Twitter, it's like your private diary, except now it's everyone's problem. So in that way, I guess a raven is kind of like YouTube? Hell, Twitter's a fucking bird, right? Is it supposed to be a hummingbird? Or is it supposed to be like a pigeon, like a carrier pigeon? I don't know what the bird for Twitter is supposed to be. All I know is it's blue. But, yeah. Why is a raven like a writing desk? It's a journal. Also, it means a raven is like YouTube. A raven is like Twitter. A raven is like Twitter fucking YouTube. While pissing on Facebook. Why did we have to make it very, very disturbing? You couldn't think of any other way that Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube could coexist that wasn't fucked up? To be fair, have you read most people's YouTube comments? Okay, you do have a good point. But you're out of line. Is that a reference? Yes, of course it's a reference! Everything's a JoJo reference. Fuck. Then again, I remember I tried to do a part of Let's Play Noit. I did one part. Mainly because I failed really badly. But I made Breaking Bad references. Which is bad, because I've never really watched an actual proper episode of Breaking Bad. Or The Office. Or Game of Thrones. I've just watched snippets of stuff from YouTube. But, yeah, I'm sorry. I got distracted, everyone. My bad. Well, actually, we're not even doing the reading thing we got here to do. I got distracted on something, and then the topic we got distracted onto, I got distracted from that. That doesn't even make sense. Welcome to LunarD8 Studios, where the random jackass rambles incoherently. But yeah. Why is a raven like a writing desk? Heck, ravens are said to be one of the few birds. Granted, yes, parrots can mimic sounds. But ravens are believed to actually properly understand human speech. And there's so many things with ravens apparently being messengers. Granted, a lot of birds have been used as, messenger birds. I'd guess usually carrier pigeons to be thought of. But honestly, ravens were considered to be not only more reliable than a pigeon when it comes to, transporting an actual physical little piece of paper with a note on it, but there's so many stories and mythologies from every part of the world, whether it's like the old folk tales of England, all the way back to the stories of Odin and his ravens and stuff, or Rick and Morty with his ravens. Yes, I'm being facetious, okay? But, yeah, ravens, they're also given an air of supernatural air in a lot of stories, as well as scientifically, while parrots are more popularly known for being able to copy human sounds, ravens can do it too. It's harder to train a raven. Not because the raven's dumb, but because why the fuck does the raven want to follow your orders? So I'd say it's more of an issue of pride. That the raven's like, I can say what you want me to say, human, but I'm not gonna do it for just a fucking cracker. I have my pride, human. So then it brings up the question, what would be appropriate payment to a raven for it to learn human speech? Like, if you can bribe a parrot with a cracker, what would the raven desire? And would it be something you'd want to part with? Would you get something additional? It's like, hey, the cost of getting me to speak human is more expensive, but you get more bang for your buck. I don't know. I keep going off on tangents, and I'm sorry, but it's kind of just who the fuck I am. If this is your first video, then I'm so sorry you had to be introduced to me anyway, because I appreciate that you're here, but I'm so sorry for your loss that you're here. You could have been doing something amazing with your time. Instead, you're spending it with me. But I appreciate you here, so if I could, I'd give you a hug and a head pat. So I'm glad you're here. Okay, so I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. Oh, right, ravens. Ravens are supposed to be very, very smart. And they are said to actually be able to perfectly imitate human speech. But, they're much less common to do it. Also, it is thought that they understand human speech a lot better, and that there's lots of myths with them, or possibly true things with them associated with, people dying and stuff like that, or at least them being more aware of the supernatural. Kind of like their cats, but can fly, and can also launch missiles. Wait, that last part's not true, is it? I don't know. It might be. When's the last time you saw a raven? Okay, that's also a good point. Okay, I'm just saying. That's probably why Twitter is a bird and YouTube is a play button. I'm just saying. Journal, like YouTube and Twitter and stuff are kind of like journals. Okay, just answer the fucking riddle, you dumbass. I feel like if I was in the Batman, I'd be the worst villain ever. I would just follow Batman around, talk about my feelings, and then we get Dairy Queen. I wouldn't hurt anyone. I wouldn't break any laws. I would just annoy everyone really, really badly. It's like Riddler, answer my riddle. And he's like, you answered my fucking riddle a half an hour ago. Why are you still talking, Lunar? And I'm like, because I can still say more stuff about your riddle. And I was like, oh my god! Batman's like, could you please stop hurting my villains? I didn't punch him. Then why is he crying? Oh, Riddler, I have another ice cream cone. Batman, Riddler's lactose intolerant. You want a pizza? Oh, pizza also has cheese. Cheeseburger, no. Riddler, what would you like to eat? Why is he shit? Oh, he's having a seizure. I'm sorry, Riddler! What do you mean it's not helping? I'm still not punching him. Yes, I'm hitting him, but I'm hitting him with his own cane. It's called poetic justice. What do you mean that's not how this works? Okay, whatever. I feel like we've gotten off topic. Okay, back to the riddle. Yeah, why is a raven like a writing desk? They're both for journals. You talk to the raven, and it's basically being your journal. Same with the writing desk. You're talking with the pen. I'm just saying this. Or a journal, or letter, or business, it's a collection of your thoughts. Yeah. And I mean, imagine, out of all the birds in the world, I imagine if you were going to have a rambling conversation with a bird, you would be most likely to do it with a raven. So yeah. A raven is like a writing desk because they're both for recording your thoughts. That's the answer. They're like a journal. That's how a raven's like a writing desk. Okay. But let's read the rest of it. Okay, but that's my answer to the riddle. My answer is that why is a raven like a writing desk? It's like a journal. It's for a collection and recording of thoughts, as well as self-reflection and communicating and just sharing of one's thoughts and feelings. That's how a raven is like a writing desk. But let's read this and see what Alice's answer is, and then we'll go back and see what the author had to say, or transcriber, or I don't remember who. Technically, this is out of Chapter 7, A Mad Tea Party, page 63. Okay, let's read this part real quick. The Harry Potter. Fuck. I've been watching. I saw these little things like where someone edited the Harry Potter characters to be like giant, fit gym people, and it was just like a bunch of puns. They also do like Lord of the Rings and stuff. The Hatter opened his eyes very wide on hearing this. But hearing what? What was the previous? Okay, we're going back to page 62. Your hair wants cutting, said the Hatter. He had been looking at Alice for some time with curiosity, and this was his first speech. I'm thirsty. You should learn not to make personal remarks, said Alice, with some severity. It's very rude. In this picture, she looks really pissed at him. Why does the rabbit look like he looks... Is that a mouse? Why does the mouse have 4 eyes? No, he has 5 of them. For some reason, it reminds me of... Oh, I went to the grocery store. Apparently, they're selling like ketchup and mustard flavored chips now. That sounds terrible. Like, they're running out of ideas. I mean, I've seen a potato flavored potato chip before, and I thought that was dumb. But yeah, what the... Why? Why does the rabbit look like something out of Naruto? But Alice is just looking like she's staring right at the Hatter. She looks so fucking pissed. What kind of tea does the Hatter serve? I don't know. Moot point. Sorry, I had to burp. The Hatter opened his eyes very wide upon hearing this, but all he said was, "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" Okay, we already established that. It's like a journal. Come, we shall have some fun now, thought Alice. I'm glad they've begun asking riddles. I believe I can guess that, she added aloud. Do you mean that you think you can find out the answer to it? Said the March Hare. Exactly so, said Alice. Then you should say what you mean, the March Hare went on. I do. Alice hastily replied, At least I mean what I say. That's the same thing, you know. Not the same thing a bit, said the Hatter. Why, you might just as well say that I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see. Okay, I'm resisting the urge to go off on a tangent on that. You might as well just say out of the Hare that I like what I get, same I get what I like. Okay. You might just well say, added the Dormouse, who seemed to be talking in his sleep, that I breathe when I sleep, same I sleep when I breathe. It is the same thing with you, said the Hatter, and here the conversation dropped in the party. Did we ever actually finish it? She never finished the... What do you mean it was the best butter? Maybe I shouldn't, like, skip round and read random sentences. Like, though to be fair, I don't feel like this would be... I don't think we ever... Okay, no, she said, no, I give up. I haven't... And then it's like, what's the answer? And then the Hatter said, I haven't the slightest idea. And something to do with time? Okay. Okay, so... Okay, yeah, I mean, they did allude to that in that part, like, forever ago. I've lost track of what we're talking about, guys. But yeah, why is a raven like a writing desk? They're both like a journal. It's for sharing and expressing and reflecting upon your thoughts and feelings. That's how a raven is like a writing desk. Okay. Let's go back to where we were before and hear what the author / transcriber or whoever, what page was that? Okay. As to whether any answer for the Hatter's riddle can be imagined. I already gave an answer. It's probably wrong. Or if it is right, please, author of story named Lewis Carroll. He's dead. Well, fuck you too. You can't fuck me, I'm you. Well, go fuck yourself. This is not a very productive conversation. Who actually transcribed this physical book that I am currently holding? Because I understand everyone who actually wrote the story is dead. I don't know. And I can't figure it out. Whoever is responsible for making this story into a physical book, as you see with the title, picture in the thumbnail, backdrop, whatever. Did I get the riddle right? Did I get the riddle right? Okay, back to the thing. The Hasmail will put on record here that it seems to me a fairly appropriate answer. Viz. What is viz? What? What? I don't know what do you mean viz? What is that? Can you imagine that I may as well put on record here what seems to me fairly appropriate answer, comma, VIZ dot. What the fuck is viz? Is it an instrument? Because it can produce a few notes, though they are very flat, and that it is never put with the wrong end in front. This, however, is merely an afterthought. The riddle, as originally invented, had no answer at all. What is a viz? Is it alive? I mean, if you said it produces notes, is it an instrument? Is it a type of bird? Is it a type of tree that when you punch it really hard, it makes noises like it's fucking Minecraft but the 1800s? What the fuck is happening? Okay, so they say there's no answer to the riddle. But, my answer, I gave it. I've given it multiple times. And an explanation of how it exists, and then multiple really lewd, horrible things that no one wants to think about. YouTube and Twitter and Facebook are just standing over there, and they're like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm like, well, fuck you too. Okay. So can Lunar stop telling inanimate media constructs to go fuck themselves? To be fair, they told... Okay, again, this is a fictional conversation where I compared them to ravens and writing desks. Because a raven is like a writing desk, because they're both like a journal / recording of one's personal thoughts and feelings in a way that's either for self-reflection or for communication. Wow, when you put it that way, Twitter and YouTube sound so much more refined. Okay. YouTube? I was going to say that YouTube and Twitter over there are scowling, but no, they're just giving aha gal. Great, now we're making a joke about Twitter and YouTube both having an orgasm with each other. Great, now I just need someone to do fan art of Twitter and YouTube as amorphous, anthropomorphic beings 69ing with each other. Everyone at home is like, what the fuck is happening? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. Can somebody... I should just read the book. I spent a half an hour. I haven't read the book. All in the golden afternoon, full leisurely we glide. For both our oars with little skill, by little arms are plied, while little hands make vain pretense our wanderings to guide. Ah, cruel three, in such an hour beneath such dreamy weather, to beg a tale of breath too weak, to stir the tiniest feather. Yet one poor voice avail against 3 tongues together. Imperious Prima flashes forth her edict to begin it, in gentler tones Secunda hopes there will be nonsense in it, while Tertia, or is it Tertia, interrupts the tale not more than once a minute. Anun? Really? That's something I usually see as a Reddit joke in a YouTube meme video. It's kind of odd to see it like this. Anon, A-N-O-N. Everyone's like, Lunar, it's not a big deal. I'm like, I know, but I think it's funny. Anon. To sudden silence one. And fancy they pursue. You guys remember that, like, a lot of old stories, that there were certain times, certain expressions and words that meant other things? Like, for example, there were other words that meant for happy, as well as other things. But did you know, like, as far as for quotations statements, that, like someone could do, oh, so-and-so question, so-and-so exclaimed, so-and-so said, so-and-so thought. It is possible to have quotation marks, and for the statement to be, so-and-so ejaculated. Because the term ejaculated, in that tense, is supposed to mean a very sudden, loud, surprising, emotional declaration. I'm trying to think how that would actually parse in real conversation. Like, what would that actually apply to? It would have to be like a very sudden statement infused with an emotion that juxtaposes with a monotone rhythm tense. What the fuck? And everyone's like, that's just a random bunch of nonsense. And I'm like, you're probably right. That's just the way I think. In bullshit. I think in constant fucking lewd hentai titties. Like, those are not the same thing. I prefer the second way of saying it. I think in boobies. It's like, today we learn of jiggle physics and the history to the human race. I know I was supposed to be saying something, but I was just like imagining jiggle physics, so I was slightly distracted. I don't remember what the fuck we're talking about. Oh yeah, ejaculated. Take Team 4 Stars Helsing. The times that, like, where, like, Alucard goes from slightly calm to, like, all of a sudden being much louder and more a faster pace to how he speaks. Especially into either emotional excitement or anger. But usually I would say it'd be a mix of the both, maybe? I don't know. Oh my god. Today's homework assignment: find ways that in anime speak, people can have the term ejaculated properly used in a grammatically correct way. And no, I don't mean the actual ejaculation as in, semen. I mean, the concept of the phrasing, that, the sharp, sudden exclamation of some sort of very strong emotional point in a conversation. Okay, I should stop getting distracted. The dream child moving through a land of wonders wild and new, and friendly chat with bird or beast, and half believe it true. And ever as the story drained, I'm still thinking about the word ejaculated, and you said the word drained. Well, at least they're not going to say balls anytime soon. The wells of fancy... that makes sense in the context, really. So you can't laugh at that. The wells of fancy dry, and faintly strove the weary one to put the subject by. The rest next time, it is next time, the happy voices cry. Okay. Thus grew the tale of Wonderland, thus slowly, one by one. Its quaint events were hammered out, and now the tale is done. And home we steer, a merry crew, beneath the setting sun, Alice a childish story take, and with a gentle hand lay it where childhood's dreams are twined. In memory's mystic hand, like pilgrim's withered wreath of flowers, plucked in a far-off land. Okay, I believe just a bunch of poems. I mean, I'm cool with reading this. It's just not what I was expecting to get into. Christmas greetings from a fairy to a child. Lady dear, if fairies may, for a moment lay aside. Oh, you guys remember those poem books, like Where the Sidewalk Ends? And stuff like that? Those were really nice. Read the poem you are currently reading. We read one line of this poem, and then we're like, hey, you guys remember this book of a bunch of other poems? Read the poem we're currently reading! For a moment lay aside, counting tricks and elfish play, 'tis at happy Christmas tide. We have heard the children say, gentle children whom we love. Oh, I remember a Trans-Siberian Orchestra. That's really great. You know, an angel came down one night to the earth, a mission from God to find out the worth of everything that his children had done since that winter night, the birth of his son. And then a star! God damn, I'm being a dick. Came down from the... And I don't remember the rest of the lyrics. But I'm just saying, like, it's really great Christmassy orchestral music. Okay, we made 2 stanzas in. Stay reading. It's barely a page of writing. Read the thing directly in front of you. Do not say other things. Just read word for word the thing directly in front of you, you dumbass. Echoes still the joyful sound. Peace on earth, goodwill to men. Yet the hearts must childlike be, where such heavenly guests abide. Unto children in their gate, all the year is Christmas tide. Thus forgetting tricks and play, for a moment, lady dear, we would wish you, if we may, Merry Christmas, glad New Year. Christmas 1867. Okay, we're finally to the action. If I can turn a page. Chapter 1. Down the rabbit hole. The rabbit's just looking at his fucking clock. He's like, how did you take 37.5 minutes to get to just starting the thing that you're like, you haven't even read word 1 of this yet, and it took you 37.5 minutes. Where the fuck have you been? And I'm like, I took the long way. I have a terrible sense of direction, Mr. Rabbit. Okay, chapter 1, down the rabbit hole. I'm thirsty. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank, and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversations? So she was considering in her own mind, as well as she could, for the hot day made her feel very sleepy and It's called heat exhaustion! She needs water! Okay, could we not get... She's fucking gonna have heat stroke! She needs fucking water! She gets this dehydrated, she's gonna become delirious! Have you forgotten what book we're reading? Does it seem like, given our juxtaposed memory of what happens in Alice in Wonderland, most people would already assume it's about a drug trip. It's about some sort of delirious state. Just saying, she needs water. Okay, stay focused on the story. Whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies. I know Pink Floyd referenced that a lot. Okay, stay reading story. When suddenly a white rabbit with pink eyes Um, doesn't mean it has rabies, you dick! Ran close to her. There was nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it so very much out of the way to hear the rabbit say to itself, oh dear, I shall be late." When she thought it over afterward, it occurred to her that she ought to have wondered at this, but at the time it seemed quite natural. But when the rabbit actually took a watch out of its waistcoat pocket, we're not questioning why the rabbit has clothes. Well, I mean, he'd be naked. Okay, in this picture, he is not wearing pants. To be fair, when was the last time you saw Bugs Bunny wear pants? Okay, again, fair point. Okay, where were we? And looked at it and then hurried on. Alice started to her feet, for it flashed across her mind that she had never before seen a rabbit with either a waistcoat. You know, she's probably having heat stroke at this very moment, and this is all just a delirious fantasy. When everyone is failing to get her fucking water. It's like, oh, she's sleepy and stupid from the heat. Yes, she's dehydrated. She's going to die. Heat exhaustion, heat stroke, or not, they are very serious, especially for younger people. She needs fucking water. Clean, preferably cool water, but you probably have no way of making fucking ice at this point in the past. I'm just saying. She needs water. Okay. I apologize for being distracted. We will try to stay focused on the story. Okay. Alice started to her feet, for a flash across her, or to watch take out of it, and burning with curiosity. Right, she's burning with, not the dehydration, or, having, overheating from the fucking sun. She ran across the field after it, and was just in time to see it pop down a large rabbit hole under the hedge. In another moment down went Alice after it, not once considering how in the world she was to get out again. The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel for some way, and then dipped suddenly down, so suddenly that Alice had not a moment to think about stopping herself before she found herself falling down a very deep well. Either the well was very deep, or she fell very slowly, for she had plenty of time, as she went down, to look about her, and to wonder what was going to happen next. First, she tried to look down and make out what she was coming to, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the sides of the well, and noticed that they were filled with cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there she saw maps and pictures hung upon pegs. She took down a jar from one of the shelves as she passed. It was labeled Orange Marmalade, but to her great disappointment it was empty. She did not like to drop the jar for fear of killing somebody underneath, so managed to put it on one of the cupboards as she fell past. Well, thought Alice to herself, after such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. Did you guys know that in the past, it was very common for people to die from staircases? Because, there were no handrails, the stairs were much more vertical and much more narrow, and they were usually up to cellars. It was the one of the number one causes, scullery maids and stuff like that. Those kinds of people that actually had to go down into the fucking bullshit. Because, let's be clear, the person that was rich was not going to go down into that shit. But here's the thing, you had to hold a bunch of shit walking down that. It was apparently not an uncommon sight for someone to be like, hey, one of the servants is missing. Oh, they're at the bottom of the stairs and they're dead. Or, mangled into pieces, still wheezing in pain. I'm just saying, it was considered a very common way to die. I need to stop getting... I'm just saying, staircases, you need to be safe on. Because in real life, let's be clear, even falling down from a modern four-step staircase, you can die. It's less likely, But let's say falling downstairs is a lot more dangerous than it's shown in movies. Hell, it's the same thing with knocking someone unconscious. I mean, the whole, like, if you were to hit somebody in the back of the head and knock them out, there is a good chance that they will never wake the fuck back up. You can kill people doing that. It's not like it is in the movies. It's dangerous. And even then, even if they wake back up, like, okay, did you cause a concussion? Are they going to die still? Like, that stuff is dangerous. It's not to be messed around with. I mean, let's be clear. Half the people that Batman beats the shit out of would probably just die of the injuries. And it's not like it's Batman's intending to kill. It's that people are squishy. Yes, there's UFC fighters that can go through a lot of punishment, but those are trained athletes. These are people that have been training their whole lives. They have probably much stronger bones than the average person. These are people who have high pain tolerances. These are people who have trained their entire lives. And also perhaps have a bit of genetic gifting too. These are people who are trained to avoid the more serious aspects of the thing that a novice wouldn't know what to do. And they have professional medical staff. And even then, there's times where you'll see them just outright snap their fucking leg in the middle of their, shin bone. Like, a lot of them wind up losing teeth or getting concussions or scrapes or cuts or and they're you don't get to see the other stuff. I mean, they're probably in a lot of pain after their fights. Even the winners, even the really strong people. And then the other thing you got to keep in mind is that there's times in street fights and shit where if you of course use something, whether it's like a blackjack, brass knuckles, a bat, or even a broken glass, that stuff again, it's a lot more deadly than it is in the movies. It's dangerous. Heck, there's so many times in bar fights, like you see footage of it and stories of it and law cases of it, where heck, there's even a person who's smaller than the person they're punching. And the person will just punch the one person one time in the face, and the other person dies. It's not even like they fell over and hit their head on something. It's that sometimes if you hit somebody at the right spot, you can just insta-kill them. And a lot of times, the person throwing the punch doesn't even realize what happened until afterward, and they're like, why isn't the person not getting up? And it's just I'm just saying this. Fighting, I mean, even if you win, okay, are you injured afterward? Do you go to jail? Do you have to go to the hospital yourself? Can you afford the medical bills? It's just, like I said, it's nice to do sparring matches and fights with people because, neither person, I like sparring because, neither person's trying to hurt the person. You're just trying to help each other train to be better, but you don't want to hurt the other person. And you're just doing it for fun and both people's enjoyment. There's no malice or ill, will anywhere. Okay, we're distracted. Main point, I'm just saying, stairs are dangerous. Then again, Batman has little triangle blades on his arms too. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you have a giant, Batman's arms are so strong and built, they're like fucking baseball bats at that point. I mean, especially with some of the feats. There's some feats that Batman is shown to do in the comics that aren't even meant to be, they're not meant to be seen as impressive. They're meant to be just things that he has to do as part of being Batman. Moving certain things with his legs. But when you compare that to the amount of power you need, in real world, it's beyond world records. Whether it's bodybuilding or sprinters or people the amount of torque that a human leg is supposed to be. There are things that Batman does that's not even supposed to be ooh, look at this flex that we're doing to show how awesome Batman is. No, it's one of the casual things that's just glanced over that the author pays no fucking attention to. Doesn't even think about, the viewer or the reader paying attention to. And it's what Batman is doing is beyond what has ever been recorded in history of an actual human being able to do. And here's the thing. If someone let's be clear. If Mike Tyson punches a normal person, that person's probably going to die. Mike Tyson is the best boxer in human history. Average person getting hit by Mike, probably gonna die. Why am I imagining a fictional fight between Batman and Mike Tyson now? Well, no, it would be a sparring match. I mean, it's not like Mike Tyson would be Robin, but like Mike Tyson could be like a superhero fighting alongside Batman. Would Batman ever let Mike Tyson drive the Batmobile? Okay, we're getting off topic again. Where were we? Stairs. Where were stairs? There's stairs somewhere. Oh, nothing. I'm tumbling down the stairs. How brave they'll all think of me at home. Why, I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell off the top of the house. Which was very likely true. I worry for your safety, Alice, in terms of like how you behave in your day-to-day life. It's like, I feel like Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O would be like, Alice, you need to not be so reckless. Like they would be telling you, like, no, this is stuff we would not be doing in our reckless bullshit. Like, you need to have some amount of self-preservation. Down, 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 would the fall never come to an end. I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time, she said aloud. I must be getting somewhere near the center of the earth. Let me see. That would be 4,000 miles. Wow, okay, I'm surprised. I don't actually know if that's true. I think it would be further. But, yeah, I don't actually know that, but I would... Okay, I think. For you see, Alice had learnt several things of this sort in her lessons in the schoolroom, and though this was not a very good opportunity for showing off her knowledge, as there was no one to listen to her, still it was good practice to say it over. Yes, that's about right, distance. But then I wonder what latitude and longitude I've gotten to. I guess it all depends on your angle of it. No, we are not discussing this. Alice had no idea what latitude was or longitude either, but the thought were very nice, grand words to say. Why does this feel like now we're like this is like who was your school teacher? Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, that'd be so fucking awesome. Okay, could we please stay focused? Presently she began. I wonder if I shall fall right through this earth. How funny it'll seem to come out among people that walk with their heads downward. The antipathies, I think. She was rather glad there was no one listening this time. What, is your person gonna be pissed off at you or you've messed something up? I mean, they can't expect you to remember everything by route, can they? Fuck. As it didn't sound at all right word. But I shall have to ask them the name of the country, you know. Please, ma'am. Is this New Zealand or Australia? And she tried to curtsy as she spoke. Fancy curtsying as you're falling through the air. Do you think you can manage it? And what an ignorant little girl she'll think me for asking. No, it'll never do to ask. Perhaps I shall see it written up somewhere. Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice soon began to think talking again. Dinah, miss me very much. Dinah? Oh, okay, it's a contraction of the word will with a person's name named Dinah. Okay. Dinah will miss me very much tonight. Why is there a hyphen there? I should think. Dinah was the cat. I hope they'll remember her saucer of milk at tea time. Dinah, my dear, I wish you were down here with me. There are no mice in the air, I'm afraid. But you might catch a bat, and that's very much like a mouse, you know. But do cats eat bats? I wonder. And here Alice began to get rather sleepy, and went on saying to herself in a dreamy sort of way, Do cats eat bats? Do cats eat bats? And sometimes do bats eat cats? For you see, as she couldn't answer either question, it didn't much matter which way she put it. She felt that she was dozing off, and had just begun to dream, that she was walking hand in hand with Dinah, Anne was saying to her very earnestly, "Now, Dinah, tell me the truth. Did you ever eat a bat?" When suddenly thump! Thump! Down she came upon a heap of sticks and dry leaves, and the fall was over. Alice was not a bit hurt, and she jumped up to her feet in a moment. She looked up, but it was all dark overhead. Before her was another long passage, and the White Rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. Why am I imagining Morpheus now? Okay, whatever. There was not a moment to be lost. Away went Alice like the wind, and was just in time to hear it say, as it turned the corner, "Oh, my whiskers! Oh, my ears! How late it's getting!" She was close behind it when it turned the corner, but the rabbit was no longer to be seen. She found herself in a long, low hall, which was lit up by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. There were doors all round the hall, but they were all locked, and when Alice had been all the way down one side and up the other, trying every door, she walked sadly down the middle, wondering how she was ever to get out again. Suddenly she came upon a little three-legged table, all made of solid glass. There was nothing on it except the tiny golden key, and Alice's first thought was that it might belong to one of the doors of the hall, but alas, either the locks were too large or the key was too small. But at any rate, it would not open any of them. However, on the second time round, she came upon a low curtain she had not noticed before, and behind it was a little door, about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her great delight it fitted. Alice opened the door and found that it led into a small passage, not much larger than a rat hole. She knelt down and looked along the passage into the loveliest garden you ever saw. How she longed to get to that out of the dark hall, and wander among those beds of bright flowers and those cool fountains. But she could not even get her head through the doorway. And even if my head would go through, thought poor Alice, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think I could, if only I knew how to begin. For you see... Jerry, fold yourself 7 times. 4 folds? What kind of bullshit? Many way out of the way things had happened lately, that Alice had begun to think that very few things indeed were really impossible. There seemed to be no use in waiting by the little door, so she went back to the table, half hoping she might find another key on it, or a book of rules for shutting people up like telescopes. This time she found a little bottle on it, which certainly was not here before, said Alice, and round the neck of the bottle was a paper label with the words "Drink me," beautifully printed, and on it in large letters. It was all very well to say "Drink me," but the wise little Alice was not going to do that in a hurry. "No, I'll look first," she said, "and see whether it's marked poison on it or not," for she had read several nice little stories about children who had got burnt and eaten up by wild beasts, and other unpleasant things, all because they would not remember the simple rules their friends had taught them, such as the red-hot poker will burn you if you hold on to it too long, and that if you cut your finger very deeply with a knife, it usually bleeds, and she had not forgotten that if you drank from a bottle marked poison, it was certain to disagree with you, sooner or later. Now, I got a book over there, like it's a bunch of fairy tales. I think I talked about it in like the TM Trainer Adventures playlist of Binding of Isaac. I was like, hey, should I make the most offensive video ever? Because some of the stories in that are really fucked up. Now, granted, this is not a story in there, but I remember there being a fairy tale. Apparently, it's a German fairy tale. Like 2 kids, they go outside, and then an owl eats their face. The end. And I'm like, what is the fucking moral of the story? Don't go outside? It's like, oh, you touched grass, die. It's like what was the point? Who wrote the story? What? Why? Okay, you're getting distracted again. However, this bottle was not marked poison, so Alice ventured to taste it, and finding it very nice, it had in fact a sort of mixed flavor of cherry tart, custard, pineapple. Again, why is there a hyphen there? Roast turkey, toffee, hot buttered toast. She very soon finished it off. That's an odd mix of flavors. You are one to talk. What a curious feeling, said Alice. I must be shutting up like a telescope. And so it was indeed. She was now only 10 inches high, and her face brightened up at the thought that she was now the right size for going through the little door into the lovely garden. First, however, she waited for a few minutes to see if she was going to shrink any further. She felt a little nervous about this, for it might end, said Alice, in a my going out altogether, like a candle. I wonder what I should be like then. Did they even know about microbiology at this point? I don't remember when that was discovered and how much that was even common knowledge when it was. I mean, information took a little bit longer to travel, without, the internet. Granted, internet, the world's greatest library of all the world's knowledge. 95% of it's porn. Shows humanity's priorities. For she could not remember ever having seen such a thing. After a while, finding that nothing more happened, she decided on going into the garden at once. But alas for poor Alice, when she got to the door, she found she had forgotten the little golden key, and when she went back to the table for it, she found she could not possibly reach it. She could see it plainly through the glass, and she had tried her best to climb one of the legs of the table, but it was too slippery, and when she had tired herself out with trying, the poor little thing sat down and cried. Come, there's no use in crying like that, said Alice to herself, rather sharply. I advise you to leave off this minute. Wow! You talk to yourself like I talk to me. That's not a good thing. She generally gave herself very good advice, though she very seldom followed it. Okay, I feel personally attacked. And sometimes she scolded herself so severely it brought tears into her eyes. Again! Story! This is about Alice, not me. Shut the fuck up. And once she remembered trying to box her own ears for having cheated herself in a game of croquet she was playing against herself. For this curious child was very fond of pretending to be two people. I tend to talk to myself from time to time, but it's fine. But it's no use now, thought poor Alice, to pretend to be two people. Why, there's hardly enough of me left to make one respectable person. Fuck you! I shouldn't be taking personal offense to this shit, but fuck you, book! Fuck you! You're a dick! Soon her eye fell on a little glass box that was lying under the table. She opened it and found it very small cake, on which was the word, Eat me. I have seen enough hentai to know where this is going. Were beautifully marked in currants. Okay. On the one hand, do we mean currants as a slang way of saying cursive, or do we mean currants as, the variation of cranberries or raisins or dates or all of the above? By the way, I like fig Newtons, but actual figs are disgusting. They taste really horrible and the texture is off-putting. Like the texture is just... It's like someone pissed in a bunch of gravel and then they're like, hey, what if I punched it with a pumpkin pie? Like that's... And it tastes weird. But fig Newtons are fine. Okay, we got distracted again. Well, I'll eat it, said Alice. And if it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key. And if it makes me grow smaller, I can creep under the door. So either way, I'll get into the garden. I don't care which happens. She ate a little bit and said anxiously to herself, which way, holding her hand on top of her head to feel which way it was growing. And she was quite surprised to find that she remained the same size. Well, your arm is growing with you. To be sure, this is what generally happens when one eats cake. I do like cake. But Alice had got so much in the way of expecting nothing but out of the way things to happen that it seemed quite dull and stupid for life to go on in the common way. So she set to work and very soon finished off the cake. Me too, Alice! Me too. I enjoy me some cake. And some ice cream and some pizza and some fried chicken. And I am fat for a reason. I also like Pepsi. Okay, so that is Chapter 1, Alice in Wonderland, which is six pages. Only took me an hour to read 6 pages. I am certainly very efficient at this. Well, granted, to be honest, like if I'm reading a story for another person, I'll usually just focus on just reading the story and them. But yeah. So I enjoyed reading the story, but got distracted a couple times, just slightly, just a little bit, not. Just like imagine there were a couple very brief side notes on the sides of the pages, and that's what all my little tangents were. Just me reading the little cliff notes, the little author's highlights. That's all. Anyway, so I hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful day, and I hope all of you have a good sleep or a happy day, that you drink plenty of water, and that you have all the hugs and head pats you could ever want. Bye, everybody.